This is, quite frankly, a horrific thing to have to talk about, and a very sorry state of affairs that it comes to this, that I feel the need to do a video to raise awareness about this, and that is that there's been reports all over the place that there are men hanging around outside schools that appear to be attempting to abduct children. And so this has now reached the point where Rupert Lowe MP is writing to the Home Secretary demanding something is done about this. So I'm going to give you some examples of these letters in this video just to raise awareness and let you know exactly what's going on, and also just so that you can be more aware of what's going on around you. So if you like this neutral, independent approach to the news and what's going on, and a sprinkling of the law and as it applies, not that I really think that it should be necessary to tell people what the law is in situations like this, but I will cover that anyway, then please do subscribe to the channel, help me grow this channel as an independent lawyer helping you, the general public. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Now, let's go to this then, shall we? Now, when I first saw things like this, you sometimes think that this might just be attempting to create some kind of faux outrage or whatever. But actually, the more you look into it, the more real this is. This is a serious problem. And I hate to say it, but it appears to be in areas where there are migrant hotels, that is to say, hotels that have been used for illegal migrants that are coming over, that some people criticize the use of illegal migrants, but they are illegal migrants as they come in, and then yes, sure, they might be applying for asylum, but one way or another they're placed into these hotels, and it appears, I hate to say it, it appears to be that it's some of those areas that are responsible. But I'll come back to why I said that in a moment. Now, of course, this is not designed to stir up any hatred. This is certainly a warning to people that you need to be aware of this, because there may be something to worry about here. This first sort of comment here, I see, dear parents and guardians, there have been reports of attempted abductions of children near 3 schools. This was in Dublin. Please be vigilant when children are playing outside your homes, walking around the school, especially if they walk alone. Another one here, this is just a reference to another message here. The police are aware of a young man approaching children within the Louth area. Please remind your child to be vigilant and report any concerns from Louth Academy. This other letter here from Altrincham College, just from a few days ago, a week ago or so. I've been made aware, dear parents and carers, I've been made aware of several very serious incidents about attempted abductions of children from schools in our local area. These attempts happened whilst children were walking to and from school on their own. I would be grateful if you can speak to your child or ward about how to stay safe and support us in reinforcing the following messages. Go out in pairs or groups. Do not engage in conversations with strangers. If approached by a stranger, they may be on foot or in a car, do not talk to them and move away quickly. Never get into a car or a van of someone you don't know, even if they say they know you or your family. And this is important because we all want to be trusting individuals. We all want to believe what people say. But sometimes if people are trying to trick you, they will say, your mum or your dad or whoever has told me to come and pick you up. They might even know them by name, depending on how they're following you around or whatever. And if they have some detail, they might convince you that it's real. But always be suspicious about this. Never just believe them out of hand. If you ever feel afraid, it goes on, of an adult, make lots of noise and run away. I understand that these are scary messages to pass on to your child or your ward, obviously if they're carers in the area, but it is important that we help our children to stay safe at all times. Please report anything suspicious to both the police and the school. And that's not the only one. There's another one. This is from a courtesy here of David Atherton. He posted this one. There are several more. This one from Navigation Primary School. Last week, there were some reports of suspicious males around schools in Trafford. Our school's been working with Greater Manchester Police and Trafford Council to establish the facts and reassure our communities. Together, we acknowledge that people may be worried, and we take such concerns very seriously. Protecting children and young people is the top priority for our school, the police, and the council. As always, we urge members of our community to report anything that should be brought to our attention. Any parent, carer, or pupil who has concerns should talk to the school directly if it relates to us, or report it to the police on 101, who will investigate. If you do not want to give them your name, you can call Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Make a note of these numbers if you're not familiar. Some people are not even familiar with 101, but make a note of it and always remember it. Police officers have confirmed that they received 6 reports in the past few days regarding potential suspicious males in Trafford. However, of those reports, only 1 offence has been identified. But I would say 1 offence is far too many. This should not be happening. Detectives have investigated all 6 reports. Their inquiries included checking CCTV, speaking with those who called them, talking to schools and people in the local area. No offending has been identified in 5 of the reports, and the police are continuing to investigate 1 report of common assault. When there are concerns about safety, these are investigated quickly and thoroughly. We are working together to share information as appropriate, and neighbourhood police patrols around schools are being increased at key times. We urge people to take care and use only trusted and reliable sources of information. Please be mindful of personal safety when you're out and about, and remind children and young people about staying safe as part of your usual routines. Another one here from New College, Bradford. This one taken directly from their website. Dear Parent Guardian, I hope this letter finds you well. We're writing to inform you of a recent safety concern reported in the local area to reassure you of the steps being taken to ensure the well-being of our students. There have been multiple reports made to police regarding individuals approaching members of the public inappropriately. As a result, we're advising all students to remain vigilant when travelling to and from college. The police have been informed and will be increasing patrols in the town centre, particularly around Centenary Square, in both uniform and plain clothes. We are encouraging students to walk in pairs or groups where possible, avoid secluded areas, stay aware of the surroundings, and report suspicious behaviour. The safety and well-being of our students remain our top priority, and we are working closely with the authorities to ensure they feel secure while travelling. If your child, and bear in mind, we're talking about children here. It's disgraceful that we have to put these letters out, that these places have to put these letters out. If your child has any concerns or requires support, please encourage them to speak to a member of staff. If you have any questions or wish to discuss this further, please do not hesitate to contact us. Thank you for your ongoing support. And doubtless there are many more. Now, this has caught the attention of Rupert Lowe, MP, who of late I have noticed to be speaking out firmly in support of the general public here, and says here, reports of illegal migrants loitering near schools are incredibly disturbing. I've heard similar from numerous parents, and of course you've seen the letters that I've just read to you there. He goes on, I've written to the Home Secretary raising these concerns. Having unchecked foreign males near schools is not acceptable. Action is required. And he goes on in this letter to talk about the fact that he says that illegal migrants are being housed in hotels, accommodation nearby these schools and have been seen to hanging around. He writes, Dear Home Secretary, there have been disturbing media reports that illegal migrants being housed in hotel accommodation have been seen hanging around local primary schools, including claims of filming. Now I'm going to pause on that moment just for a second, because many people may say, well, there's no law against filming in a public place, etc. Well, it's not absolutely crystal clear cut in every situation. There is no automatic right to privacy in a public place, but there is what we call a reasonable expectation of privacy. And certainly when children are involved and private scenarios are involved, a court would likely impose, in many of these cases, a reasonable expectation of privacy. Children coming and going from school, I would say a court is likely to say, well, there is a reasonable expectation of privacy for children going to and coming out of school, and even travelling home. If someone is following one of those children, again, it sounds ridiculous that I have to say this, but if someone is following those children to or from school or home, etc., and filming them while they're on school grounds or any of those scenarios, that is absolutely not acceptable. There is a reasonable expectation of privacy in that situation. They shouldn't be filmed, they shouldn't be photographed, and they should be left alone. Let's go back to the letter. Like I say, I didn't think that needed saying, but there we go. Rupert Lowe goes on, this is not an isolated incident. Dozens of parents have contacted me privately across the country with similar problems, all of which have been encouraged to go to the local police. My position is that all of these illegal migrants should be immediately detained and deported. And just pausing on that note for a moment, the reason I think he says that is because they are essentially in the country illegally. They arrived in the country illegally, at least. They may be in the process of claiming asylum, etc. However, we know nothing about them. We don't know about their criminal history. We don't know about their intent. We don't know anything else about them. And if there are reports like this gives serious cause for concern. And the only way to eliminate that problem, it may not be a nice way of doing it. Some people will say that it breaches human rights, etc. But the only way to deal with that problem is to detain them, and at least so we know exactly where they are. And as Rupert Lowe suggests here, they should also be deported. Rupert Lowe says, my position is that all of these illegal migrants should be immediately detained and deported. Evidently, your government does not share that view. With that in mind, will you consider implementing strict rules around any migrant accommodation to ensure that they are not allowed to leave unaccompanied? And just pausing on that note, that would satisfy this human rights requirement. They are not being unreasonably sort of imprisoned if they are being accommodated and that we know that they are taken care of, they are fed, etc. That is not really in breach of human rights. I'm sure some human rights lawyers would disagree with me, but taking an objective viewpoint here, what an ordinary reasonable person would think, I don't think that would breach any human rights. Moreover, actually accommodating them in the first place. So Rupert Lowe suggests that we should ensure that they are not allowed to leave unaccompanied. Or at the very least, he goes on, the enforcement of a curfew. Obviously, for those that don't know, that means they have to come back to the accommodation within a certain time, or they're not allowed out within a certain time window, things of that nature. And a banning order on these men, preventing them from going within a certain distance of establishments where children are in attendance. And again, I think that is absolutely perfectly reasonable. We have certain elements of law that restrict movements of people going to certain places. We have one example is a public space protection order. You remember the examples of people praying within a certain distance of abortion centres. There was therefore, and you can understand that people going to and from those centres may feel that they are in some way distressed by people standing there, even if they were just praying. I'm being objective here. On the one hand, you shouldn't be, persecuting somebody because they're standing praying in their head. On the other hand, it's not reasonable for people going to those centres to see people objecting to what they're doing and they feel oppressed and so on. So there are different sides of that coin, but that was dealt with by way of a public space protection order, meaning you cannot go within a certain number of meters of those centres and do those kind of things. This would be a perfectly reasonable way of dealing with this, would be to say that they are not allowed, because they have no need to go near these schools, perhaps just issue a banning order preventing them from going within a certain distance of any of these establishments where children are present, and certainly from following them around and following them home and so on. He goes on, a GPS tagging system would be appropriate. And why not? I mean, we should know where they are. They are not, ultimately, they don't have unlimited leave to remain in the UK. We should know where they are, because if their application fails, they need to be removed. And if they just disappear, that is obviously a problem. We would need to know where they are. GPS tagging, absolutely no problem with that. Something has to change, Rupert Lowe says. It is simply not acceptable to have these unchecked individuals free to roam our streets. We do not know who these men are, where they've come from, or what their true motivations are. They should be kept away from our children. I hope you'll consider my proposals in the good faith that they are meant. Many thanks, Rupert Lowe, MP. And I would reiterate that I think it is meant in good faith. We do not know who they are. We do not know where they come from. We do not know what their true motivations are. It is not reasonable that they're going around these schools. If it is these men that are going around these schools, somebody is, because it's been reported to the police many times. People have reported it to Rupert Lowe as being men from these accommodation centres for migrants that is going around these schools. That is not acceptable. That is not appropriate. Certainly filming them, photographs, etc., following them, and in some of the cases, attempted abductions, to get to the point here where these colleges see the need to write out to parents to say there have been multiple reports, not just one man hanging around, multiple reports made to the police regarding individuals approaching members of the public inappropriately. As a result, we're advising all students to remain vigilant travelling to and from college, etc. It's just unacceptable, but I felt the need to do this video to raise awareness of this so that you all understand the risks that are involved. And if you have a concern about this, write to your MP and ask your MP to put the same words or join Rupert Lowe's letter to the Home Secretary. You can ask your MP to put their name to Rupert Lowe's letter here to back this letter, because it really does seem to me that Rupert Lowe is an MP who is speaking with the very best intentions of the British public. Let me know what you think in the comments. As I say, I think this is outrageous that I have to do a video like this, but it's also outrageous that Rupert Lowe has to write a letter like this to the Home Secretary. And I hesitate to guess what the response will be. It's going to be something along the lines of, no, we're not going to give them a curfew, we're not going to tag them, we're not going to do anything like that, banning orders and whatever. But that's anyone's guess. Let me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, please. I am so grateful to you subscribing, and my channel is growing. I am now 10% or so towards my next 100,000, which is 800,000. I'm aiming for 1 million. I really aim to make a difference for you, the general public, in understanding law, smashing down the barriers, smashing down the understanding to law and the system and how it applies to you. I am here to help you. So please do subscribe, and thank you for watching.